Hey, hello and welcome to Analytics Educator. Today, I'm going to teach you R programming. Time and again, I have been hearing this statement from lots of students and advanced professionals. They find R programming is really difficult to understand. On the contrary, I thought R programming is really easy. So no one can say it's difficult. So I can understand there is really a contradiction what I perceive and what the other people are saying. So let's find it out. Is it really interesting and easy, or it's really difficult? So let's move ahead. Today I'm going to teach you a series of different courses. I'm going to start with the vector and data frame, which is the start of R programming, and later on with the subsequent videos I will move on. It's what we need to do. We need to first open the R software. This is how it looks like. If you do not know how to install and open R, then you can check out my previous video where I have shown how to install R. I understand it doesn't look like very good, but then end of the day it's not a video game. I mean, this is a software, so this is how it looks like. What I can do, the fonts are looking really small. If you want, you can increase the font size. Then how to do that? Go to edit, go to GUI preference and increase the size. If you are okay with this font size, you do not have to increase it, but I'm an old man with my feeble eyesight. It becomes easier for me if I increase the font little bit, so I have increased it. Now by default you are going to see all these, whatever is written over here. It doesn't matter. I mean, you could ignore them for the time being. So how R works? First of all, R works like a calculator. Over here you can write the R code. Suppose I write 1 plus 1, okay, and hit the enter button. See, it works. I get the result 2. You can see the 1 within the third bracket. This is just an index number. It means I have gotten the first result. That means this is the first row of my result. That's why it is 1. Had there been more number of rows for my results, there would have been 1, 2, 3, 4. Just a serial number. You can ignore this part. This is not the part of your result actually. This is only for your display. For the timing, you can ignore it. Okay. See, if I do again another calculation, 4 minus maybe 2, and I hit the enter button. See, again I get the same result 2. So it really works. 8, the star marks is the multiplication, into 3. Again I get the result. I can do a division. 8 divided by 2. I hit the enter button. Again I get the result. So similarly I can do any sort of calculation with this one. Any sort of calculation, whatever I can do with a calculator. So this is the first and foremost task. Now the problem is, whatever codes I have written, suppose I want to do 1 plus 1, again I have to write 1 plus 1 manually, just in case I want to execute it. So there is a shortcut to do it. If I do not want to write the 1 plus 1 again, I can hit the up arrow. Then it's going to show me the previous codes, whatever I have written. I get there 1 plus 1, I hit the enter button and I get the result 2. So I do not have to write it once again. But the problem is, here I have written only 4-5 lines of codes. So it was easier for me to navigate through it by pressing the up arrow. But imagine if I had written thousands of lines of codes, or at least hundreds of lines of codes. Even then, theoretically it is possible for me to navigate through it by pressing the up arrow, but then it would have been very tedious task to do it. Okay, so we are not going to do it in this way. What we are going to do, click on the file button, click on the new script. So I get it. I get a word notepad like structure. You can resize it, put it over here. You can just make it small little bit. It will be easier for you to see both the screens together. Okay, here if I write again 5 plus 5 and I hit the enter button, see nothing happens. 4 into 5, nothing happens. 7 minus 3, nothing happens. So I can do whatever calculations. 4 divided by 2, nothing is happening. So it means in R console, this window, if I just hit the enter button, okay, 8 into 3, hit the enter button, it gets executed. But if I write any code in R editor, by merely pressing the enter button, it does not execute it. So what I need to do is, I have to click over here on this line. I can put the cursor anywhere. You can move the cursor by using the keyboard or mouse, doesn't matter. You can put your cursor in the line which you want to execute and press Ctrl and R. Ctrl and R button. Let me write it for you. Ctrl plus R. These two buttons together in order to execute them. And if I over here, if I click over here and execute by pressing Ctrl and R, I will get the result over here. The last one is 24. If I click here, it doesn't matter I put my cursor at the end of the line, at the middle of the line, or beginning of the line. Wherever you put it doesn't matter. Press Ctrl R. Automatically the cursor will come down then. See, press Ctrl R. See, I get the result over here, that is 10. So Ctrl and R will execute the R code. Normally I always use the R editor because of couple of advantages. The first advantage is, in R console I cannot write multiple lines of codes which might be necessary for me to write, because whenever I write something and I hit the enter button, the line gets executed. Secondly, I cannot save these codes because in between each and every line of code I get the result. So I will be writing all my codes in R editor and I will be getting all my results in R console. So I will be calling R editor as my input window, R console as my output window. Do not try to find all these terminologies online in the Google, because this is my way of just explaining them. Otherwise, in general R terminology, they will never call it input output. Okay. Now if I want to execute 4 into 5, I can again press Ctrl R. Again I will get the result. Okay, again couple of times Ctrl R, automatically it will come down and I will get the result. By pressing Ctrl R, I will get the result. Now in case you want to clear this R console window, if you a person who loves cleanliness, then you can press Ctrl and L. The entire screen will be deleted. Okay, so Ctrl plus L will clear the R console. Okay, now you see 5 plus 5, 4 into 5, these are all R codes. If I press Ctrl R, I will get the result. But Ctrl plus L will clear the R console. If I press Ctrl R here as well, it will give me an error. The reason being, this is not an R code. This is a statement which I have written just in case. Just imagine I have short-term memory loss, so I keep forgetting everything. So I'll just write something in my code so I will remember something. This is a comment or a statement, but R doesn't understand this is a comment. So what do I need to do to make R understand this is a comment and not a code? At the left hand side you put a hash sign, then R will understand this is a comment and not a code. Now if you press Ctrl R, this will not give you an error. Now it's a good time to tell you that in R, I just like to call R little weird because it behaves in a weird way. The first weirdness is, whenever you get to see anything in R as red, in the color red, there are absolutely no errors in it. You can be absolutely rest assured there are no errors in it. Okay. and when you get the result it comes in blue, but the errors will also come in blue. If I do not have this hash, errors will also come in blue, but anything comes in red, they are absolutely free of error. Okay, now suppose I have written 4 into 5 minus 20 divided by 3 plus 12 minus 7, just written lots of stuff. Okay, arbitrary, something like this. Okay, I will clear the R console. Now if I press Ctrl R, R is going to execute the entire line. Okay, so I get 9.3. Now R follows the Bodmas rule, the same thing what you must have done it in your schools, or maybe standard 1 or standard 2, the same way. But there is another way to execute the code. Just imagine I want to execute 3 plus 12. I don't want to execute the entire line. So what I can do, I can select 3 plus 12. So R will understand there is only 3 plus 12 in the world and there is nothing else in the entire world. So R is going to execute only 3 plus 12. If I hit Ctrl R, see, I will get 15, not the entire part. So if you click anywhere in the line without selecting, that means R is going to execute the entire line. And if you select a portion of it, then it means you are prioritizing it. 7 into 2, if I select, that means R is going to prioritizing 7 into 2 and I will get the result as 14. Alright, so there are two ways of executing the code, either by selecting or by without selecting. Then in that case the R is going to execute the entire line. Now if I indent the code, if I just hit enter button, okay, if I write this code, just imagine this code is becoming too long, so I do not want to write it in a single line. Then if I hit Ctrl R, see, I have gotten the result in red, but I have not yet gotten the outcome. Why? Because R understands an equation cannot end with a multiplication sign, but there is still now I have not made any mistake. That's why it has not given me an error. It has given it to me in red, but same time it has not also given me any output. It is waiting for the next line to be executed. So if I press Ctrl R again, then I will get the entire result, but it should be logical. Now just imagine if I had done it like this and press Ctrl R, then R gives me the result, because R doesn't understand there is more codes into it. R doesn't understand telepathy. R understands I have concluded the line logically, so R understands this is my line, this is my equation, so let's execute that. Okay, so you need to indent it from here, so then R understands. At the same time, if I execute this line, R will give me an error, because no equation should be starting with a multiplication sign. Alright, this is how you may indent it. So far you have understood how to only execute the code using R command. You have not understood anything else. Now we will move ahead. The people who are accustomed with using Excel, you have seen in an Excel sheet how you get to see any data. Maybe you have name, you have age, you have sex. Name may be A, B, C, age maybe 1, 2, 3, sex female, female, male. This is how you get to see it, isn't it? Get to see your data. But when R works, in these dataset you have some columns and some rows, but when R works, it doesn't work in this way. R will be working this, R will look into it simply like a row. Okay, just like a row. That means it's a group of numbers or group of values. It might named as age or a, whatever it is. Okay, there are 1 2 3, there might be only two values as well. A, there is only one value, but whether it's one value or two values, three values, it will all be in just like a row. In R, this is called a vector. Alright, just one group of numbers with a name. That name could be anything. So if I try to write it, I create a vector. I will be writing as a equals to 1. If I execute it, Control R, it has come in red. That means I have created a vector called a, and the value is there in as 1. Now again, if I want to see what is there in a, suppose I do not remember it, then I can write a again and execute a. Then it's going to show me in a there is a single value as 1. I can again write it and execute it, or I can select this a and execute it. Both way it works. But if I write b, sorry, I had actually created it earlier, that's why it is showing me as b equals to a. There shouldn't have anything. Just imagine if I write, create another name, okay, Sunny, Control R, it is giving me an error because I have not created anything named as Sunny. It is not there yet, but a is there as 1. So this is how I can create a vector. I told you R works a little bit in a weird way, so I showed you equals to works perfectly fine. But the people who are writing the R codes, they will not be using this equals to sign. They will be using this arrow sign. Henceforth, I will also be using this arrow sign, though it is it's going to give you serve you the exactly same purpose. Still, it's going to give you the same result as 1. But this is how the people accustomed writing codes of R, they write it. So I'll also be using this arrow sign. But always remember, this arrow sign only works right to left. It doesn't work left to right. Okay, just remember how you read Urdu from right to left. I mean, just imagine that is how it works. Now just imagine, I don't want to write only one value as 1 into a. I want to write maybe 1 2 and 3, three consecutive numbers. How do I write? You can write 1 colon 3. Colon means 1 2 3, all the numbers between 1 and 3 inclusive of 1 and 3. Now if I press Ctrl R, I get it as in red. Now it's going to show me the result as 1 2 3. So what it does, it creates a new vector with new values as 1 2 3, which overrides the previous value which had only value 1 into it. Right, earlier a had only 1, now it overrides that. If I write 4, again it's going to overwrite 1 2 3 and show me 1 2 3 4. Okay, it also, you whatever number you write it, you write 1 to 400, so it's going to show you 1 to 400. Okay, yeah, lots of numbers. See, now you will understand. This 1 is the index 1 for this value 1. This is 2 3 4 5 6 till 16, and then it starts from 17. Okay, there are more spaces. Had it been less space, if I had made the window smaller, this would have looked something like this: 1 2 6, and it starts with 7. These are the index number. This is the 7th result. This is the 8th result. Similarly, this is the 13th result. So 13 is written over here. So you can ignore this part for the time being. Alright. Now the question comes, I know how to write a single value. I know how to write consecutive numbers. I can write it also in reverse manner, 3 colon 1, that means 3 to 1. Both way it works. Now what if I want to write maybe 1 3 and 5? There are more than one value, but they are not consecutive. So how do I write that? I don't write 135 like this, otherwise it becomes 135. I need to make R understand these are different numbers, so I need to put a comma in between, and outside you need to put it in a bracket all these values and write C. C means a short form of combine, you may think of. Okay, now again it's a good time to tell you R is 100% case sensitive. Okay, it's a small c. Remember, if I had written a capital C, it would have given me an error. Capital C doesn't work, it has to be a small letter c. Then it works 1, 3 and 5. Again it overwrites the previous one. Alright, now till now I have showed you only how to store numeric values in a vector. What if I want to store maybe some characters? I write I want to create a new one, b equals to a. Okay, so I want to create a new vector as b where I will be having the letter a in it. If I execute it, I see b. What is there in b? See, I get 1, 3 and 5. Why? Because R understands this a as your vector a. So it simply copies the vector a into b. But I don't want this one, I want the character a or the letter a. Whenever you want to write any letter a or character, it should be within quotes. Now I get to see it in as a. What if I want to write consecutive letters, maybe a and something else? Yes, you are correct. It should be written using C. That means whenever you are writing a single value, like 1, it doesn't require C. Whenever you are writing consecutive value, still you don't require C. But whenever you are writing more than one value and they are not consecutive, okay, it's a compulsion that you have to write C. Alright, you can think C is like a master key. Okay, in a game of cards, it's like a joker which can be used everywhere. It means C can be used if you are writing a single value. C can be used if you are writing consecutive numbers. But C is not compulsory if you are writing single value or consecutive numbers, but it is compulsory when you are writing more than one value which are not consecutive. And it is compulsory whenever you are writing more than one character. Okay, if I write A and if I write maybe a name, Joyita Shannal, okay, see, yep, we get it as two different values in the vector B. Alright, yeah, Joyita Shannal used to study with me in my college, so I have a little soft corner in this name, but nonetheless, yeah. Alright, now this is what we have understood. Now again you should note that each vector can contain only a single type of value. That means either it can contain numbers or it can contain characters. It cannot contain both. So if I create another one, maybe D, maybe 1, 2 and 3, and a name Joyita. Alright, so what's going to happen? Do you think it's going to give you an error? No, it has not given me any error because it has come in red. Let's see what is there in D. This is the result, whatever I have gotten in D. Okay, now I said each vector can hold only one type of value, but then how do you know what sort of values are there? It's very simple. If I want to know what sort of values are there in B, just hold on for a couple of minutes. I'll come back to this vector D. First, what sort of values are there in A? It's very simple. I can see there are numbers, but how do I know that? you can write class within bracket. Class means the property. Whose property I want to check? I want to check the property of A. So write A, class within bracket A. It shows numeric. Okay, that means it has numbers in it. Similarly, if I want to check the property of B, it shows character. That means it has letters and characters and alphabets. Okay. Now, what is the property of D? Can you guess? You can pause the video and try to take a guess. Or let me tell you, the property is going to be, let's see, it's character, right? Why it is character? You could have guessed it, because see, all these numbers 1, 2, 3 and Joyita are in quotes, because I said they cannot have different properties in a single vector. Earlier, when I had only numbers, they did not have any quotations around them. Now they have quotations. Why? Because even if you have combinations of numbers and characters, characters are having a priority. Okay, they are having a priority. All the other numeric values will be automatically converted into character. Just like saying that maybe 10 boys are debating which sort of movies to go with, maybe Justice League or Marvel Avengers, and one girl comes along. Now what's going to happen? All the 10 girls are going to go to that movie whichever the girl says. In this scenario, usually the girl has a priority. I don't know if it happens with you, but when I was in college, this exactly the same scenario used to happen. Always the girls had the priority. But yeah, come back. So in this scenario, similarly, character has a priority. Now, if I wish, I can change the property. How? Presently, let's see, A is numeric. Just imagine I want to change it into character. How to change it into character? I can write as dot character, and within bracket, which is the vector you want to change it into as character? A, right? So within bracket write A. So see, it has now gotten quotes around them, around 1, 3 and 5. But again, if you check the class of A, it remains numeric, because you have changed it but you have not saved it. In order to make the change permanent, you need to save it. So I can save it as A. I can save it with any other name. Maybe I can save it as R. Then A will be saved as character into R. If I write A, then A will be saved as character into A. That means it's going to replace the old value which was numeric, and now it's going to be character. Similarly, if I again want to change it back into numeric, similarly I can write, yes, you are correct, as dot numeric. So again they will be changed back to numeric. Alright, I hope you have understood till now. Now let's move ahead. There is a third type of property which is called a factor. Like if I write P equals to maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, or maybe 1, 1, 2, 3, 2 and 4. Okay, normally the class will be numeric. Numeric, this is a normal numeric one. But if I want to change it into factor, if I write factor over here, class will be factor. And what is there in P? Say it doesn't have any quotes around them, just normal numbers without any quotes. The only difference is it has levels apart from the normal values. and labels are showing you all the unique values. Okay, there are multiple 1, multiple 2, so it's going to show you single 1, single 2, what are the unique values. Okay, for the time being, just imagine factor is a different type of property. Do not try to get into that because it has some statistical implications. I will also be uploading a class on statistics where you will be understanding little bit of what is it factor, but the you will appreciate the full essence of factor while you will be doing a machine learning algorithm. After this class, I will also be uploading a machine learning algorithm class. There I will again discuss what is the purpose of factor. For the time being, you can only understand it's going to save your life big time, this only single factor. Okay, it's going to save a lot of time and effort of your entire life. It's very important. You don't need to understand anymore for the time being. Okay, now suppose I have created a vector. Now if I try to ask you a question that have you got bored till now, you can write it in the comment. At this time, did you get bored? If you are saying yes, I have not got bored, then either you are lying or you are too studious, because I got bored by teaching you all these vectors and stuff. This is a boring part. Okay, for the last one time, let me create a vector and then I promise I'll get into the interesting part. I understand this is a little boring part. Now if I create a another vector like maybe name, I create different names, maybe A, B, C. Okay, I just create 10 some values A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and maybe J. Don't worry, in the real life you are not going to do it in this manual way. I will show you in the next class how to do it without writing this manual part, but just hang on with me. For the timing, I will write it in a manual way. Then on a random basis I will write age, some randomly chosen some numbers. Okay, how many did I write? 336. Three, 6, 9 and 23. Okay, and maybe the last one is 6, male, female, I think I've written 10, 3, 6, 3, 9, 1, 10. Yeah. Now I've created 3 different vectors. If I execute this one, what is the class of name? Class of name, yes, it's correct, it's character. Age, what is the class of age? It's numeric. What is the class of sex? It's character. Great. Now what I was telling you, that you must have really got bored because you have been checking always these type of data sets where it has some rows and columns. Okay, now I will also try to convert these vectors into a known type of data which will be having some rows and columns. So how to do that? This is called a data frame. Okay, in a data frame, how does it work? Just imagine in R I have, this is how I have the data sets, isn't it? This is how I have it. Let me put it just another color, it will be easier for you to understand. Okay, this is how I have it, different vectors. In a data frame, what I will be doing, I will be creating a frame like structure, just a frame like structure. How to do that? By writing data dot frame. In this data frame, I will take the first vector and I will put it here like this. And how to do that? I will write the vector name, because I already have this vector over here. I will write the vector name, then I will be writing age over here. What I am doing, I am simply stitching them side by side, and then I will be writing sex, so that they will look something like this. Okay, just like a normal data set which has some rows and columns. So data set name, age and sex. Okay, so how am I getting all these name, age and sex? Because I'm just referring these vectors. Had these vectors not there, this would not have worked. So it's going to create a data frame. Now I also need to create a data frame. If I have created a data frame, I need to give some name to it. You can write any name. Let me write the name as maybe Undertaker. Okay, you can write any name. So it has come in red. Let's see what is there in Undertaker. See, this is how it looks like in Undertaker. This is the data looks like. Now I think it will make you little happy, and the silver lining is, henceforth you are only going to work with a data frame. Seldom you have to work with a vector. I said about vector because it was required for your concept, but henceforth you will only be working with a data frame. Okay, maybe 99% of the times you will be working with a data frame. Now in a data frame, again, if I want to check the properties, suppose I want to check the properties of age. So how to do that? I can write class within bracket age. No, I should not be doing this, because if I write only age, R will understand I am referring to the vector age. Okay, it does not understand I am referring to the data frame Undertaker. So how do I write it? I will write Undertaker first write the data frame, but then within Undertaker there are different columns, right? Or we call it a variable. There are different variables. Which variable I am referring to? Either name, age or sex. So you write Undertaker, then you put a $, and then you write age. It means first you write Undertaker, dollar means within Undertaker I am referring to the age. So what will be the property for age? Yes, you are correct. It's numeric. That's absolutely correct. Now let's see what is the property for name. Just the similar way I can copy it. What is the property of name? It should be character, right? Oops, it is actually a factor. Because if you had said it character, you have not said anything wrong. It should have been character. But the default rule of R is, whenever it finds anything as character in a vector and it converts it into a data frame, automatically it's going to convert it into factor. Okay, that is the default rule. Now if I want to change it into character, how do I do that? Yes, the previous way, if whatever you have done it, you write Undertaker $name and write as dot character, and again write Undertaker $name. That means Undertaker $name now is going to, from factor, it will be changed into character and replace the name. If I had given it's with a different name like name 1, then a new column would have been created as name 1. That would have been a character and name would have been remained as factor. Let's see. Oops, I have done something wrong. This should have been name my mistake, because you are changing name into character and saving it as name1. Okay, now it has given me in red. So now in Undertaker I have two different columns, name and name1. Now if you check the class of name and name1, see, name will remain as factor and name1 has become character. But let me recreate this Undertaker. If I had not named it as name1, if I had named it as only name, because that means I'm replacing it, presently the name is factor, but if I replace it and now check the name, now it has become character. Similarly, if I want to change the sex, so how do I do that? Again, I'll have to do it in this way. I will be writing sex as character and change it into sex, but this is not the way I advise you to do, because just imagine, had there been 200 columns, are you going to write these 200 lines of codes like this? No, absolutely not. So I often say that analytics is suitable only for the lazy people, okay, not for the hard-working people. So whenever you find anything which is laborious, always understand there has to be a shortcut. Probably you don't know that yet, but there has to be a shortcut. So the shortcut is, while I am creating a data frame, you simply add another argument, that is strings as factors equals to false. It means the default rule says whenever you find a data frame, whenever you're creating a data frame from a vector which is, if the vector is character, sorry, you are saying if you find it is a character, change it into factor. But if you are writing strings as factors equals to false, you mean you are saying don't do it. You are instructing R that if you find it character, let it be as character, don't change it into factor. I am instructing you. You are overwriting the default rule. So let's see. If you execute that and then check Undertaker, the name, see, it has become character, right? Then check the class of sex, the class of, oops, I'm sorry, I have put two brackets. Class of sex is character, name is character, okay. But then again, if I want to check and there are 200 columns or variables, am I supposed to write class 200 times? No, absolutely not. So how to do that? You write str, means structure, within bracket Undertaker, that means the data frame. It shows you the properties of all the variables within Undertaker. So it is showing name as character, age as numeric, sex as character. Again, as I told you, it is absolutely case sensitive, so beware of the spelling, okay. Spelling, do not make any mistake in the spellings as well as the cases. And if I had not written this extra argument, see, then if I check the structure, name and sex would have remained as factor. But if I had given this argument, they would have been not changed into factor and they would have remained as character. Alright, now the last part is this Undertaker. This is my data frame. If I want to create simple copy of Undertaker, then how to do that? You write any other name. For me, I will write Kane equals to Undertaker. Now Kane will become simply a copy of Undertaker, just a normal data frame. Alright, thank you for your time. I just hope you have understood this much. I will also upload some of the assignments for you. You can freely download those, and I'll put the link where you can download all these codes whatever I have written. I will give it. I will also give you some assignments along with me. You can just do these assignments, okay? uh, by After completing the assignment, you do not have to put it in the comment. You can put it in the comment if you get stuck, okay? Because I am sure you don't expect me to give a good sign before that, right? Most of you are not the school going kids, but if you get stuck anywhere, you can write it to me in the comment box. And in the subsequent videos I will be uploading the rest of the coding part. I mean, there are lots of more stuff to it, and after each class I'll give you a different set of assignment. You can practice it. If you like this video, please subscribe to our channel. It's Analytics Educator. And you may also visit our Facebook page. You may also visit our website. We also run lots of courses. If you want to enroll, you may enroll to it. Especially we have these courses for the people from Kolkata, where we have face-to-face classes, and people outside we provide online classes. You may check it out. Alright, thank you so much for your time.